Winning extras. Could you say they stole a win? We'll get into it right now.
Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Cubs, a live edition here on a Monday. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. We decided to come on at 9:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. If we're in your ears right now, please consider joining us exclusively on YouTube, as we could jump on, in theory, anytime after Cubs games all throughout this season. Please support the show and be a part of the Locked On Cubs community by following on all audio platforms. And you can watch, subscribe, and leave a comment on YouTube. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Today's episode is brought to you by another new partner for us here on the show, HelloFresh. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/MLB60 and use code MLB60. That's MLB60 for 60% off plus free shipping. First extra inning game of the season as the Cubs defeat the Mariners 3-2 in 10 innings. Nick Madrigal, a big steal of third base in the bottom of the 10th, and scored on Nico Hoerner's walk-off single to right. There's a lot to break down in this game. I am jacked up.
That was really fun. You know, it was one of those games where heading into it, we said, hey, let's see if we could steal one, right? And then if you watch the game, it really was the other way around. The Cubs were the better team today.
Cubs should have won.
They deserved that win. They were outstanding throughout most of that game. Offensively against Castillo, they made really hard contact. They were unlucky not to score 4, 5, 6 runs off of him. Smiley was absolutely outstanding. The Smiley of last year had the curveball working. Ross was terrific. Pulled him. Didn't want to see him go the third time through. Let Owsley come in against a bunch of righties. Then once the slew of lefties came in, he goes to Leiter Jr. Very good managing. Unfortunate with Fulmer. That's just kind of what it is. People were saying, well, that's why you should have a lefty in the bullpen. No, that's Fulmer's inning. He's the guy. He's high leverage. He gave up a homer. It happens. He did a good job pitching out of it. And Keegan Thompson, man. I mean, he won him the game. Keegan Thompson won him the game, escaping that jam. And he really didn't have his great stuff. His command, he's missing a lot arm side, and he was able to survive and get out of it. You mentioned Madrigal. Cannot believe Scott Service pitched to Nico Hoerner there. Dansby Swanson 0 for 4 on the day, a couple of strikeouts. He hits the ball on the ground a bit. He strikes out a little bit. Nico Hoerner is one of the best contact guys in all the game. Felt great when I saw that they were pitching to him. Wasn't even nervous a second when there were 2 strikes on him. He got the job done. And the Chicago Cubs are a 5-4 ball club, and they've played just as well, if not better, so far this season against a tough schedule. I'm very happy, Matthew.
Well, man on third, no outs, just changes the whole complexion of the inning.
Right.
Because even if they do not pitch to Hoerner and Swanson comes up, a healthy fly still walks it off. So really just a pivotal play by Madrigal. A play that types of plays that I tend to enjoy.
Sure.
And Keegan Thompson proved to be resilient in that inning. That was his jam.
Mm-hmm.
Despite maybe I know you had an issue with some of the officiating.
No, it's a bad umpired game.
I think ultimately, at the end of the day, it just doesn't come down to that, even though it did affect certain stages of the ball game. But just a huge 10th inning. I felt good about the extra inning being the first one of the year. If you get out of that, you just need one and you shake hands. And that's exactly what they did. Is it easier said than done? Yeah. But this was a game from Jump Street where the Cubs actually were competitive the whole time. They were, quite frankly, a big underdog in this game against Luis Castillo. Drew Smiley set the tone, 9 up, 9 down, finishes with 5 innings pitched. And just a really good all-around win. And they're 5-4 on the season, by the way.
Yeah, I disagree with you on the umpire thing. That he needs to be better. That's his job to get those calls right, and he was awful today. And there'll be an umpire scorecard tomorrow.
I know, but it doesn't impact the win or loss. That's ridiculous.
Absolutely, it impacts the win or loss.
No.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
Not ultimately, no.
If it's lopsided to one side like it was today, unintentionally, of course, it absolutely impacts the game. I'll send you the umpire scorecard for tomorrow.
But it all evens out. The Mariners got bad calls.
I will, folks. There's an umpire scorecard on Twitter.
I know, but it's not one. It's never one-sided.
I thought today, I'd love to hear people in the comments. It felt today like it was very one-sided. Bleacher Nation even tweeted the graphic. There was about 6 or 7 major blown calls for the Cubs. It doesn't matter. It all ended in a win.
Well, it's his. I think it's the umpire's 4th season.
No, he was awful. But it worked out. And the key parts of this game for me, of why I thought it was such a nice win, and I'm so happy that they didn't lose it, is because they did everything right. Every move that was made was the correct move. I texted you right after the top of the 9th, because I knew we weren't going to score in the bottom of the 9th, and I said it's got to be Thompson, right? It just has to be.
Yeah.
I know he just pitched Saturday, but this is a game you don't want to let get away. This is as high leverage as it gets.
Yep.
And he did a phenomenal job. And then, the magical seal. I saw somebody in the comments say, "Hey, was that a smart play or not?" That's one of those plays. It's results based. If he makes it, it's the play of the game. If he does it, it's the worst play of the game. He took a risk. The Barnhart thing. A lot of people were down on that. I wasn't. He's seen the ball really well, and he pulls the ball a lot. I was a little weirded out that they bunted with him. Just let him swing. He's probably going to hit a ground ball to the right side anyway. He's not a bunter. But I was okay with that move, and it was a gutsy play by Madrigal, and it worked. So, you know what? And the one thing I want to give a shout-out to, I thought Yan Gomes behind the plate was really good. That throw out of Wong was huge.
Huge.
I mean, he dug that all in one motion. And Yan Gomes, and by no means is Yan Gomes a good hitter, but he's
struggling.
Him and Mastroboni are hitting into really bad luck. I mean, Yan Gomes hits a rocket up the middle. The guy's playing behind second. Earlier this year, he missed a grand slam by a foot. Today, he flies out to the track. Mastroboni gets robbed again. I still am really high on Mastroboni.
That's interesting.
I don't understand, and we're going to get to roster stuff in a bit. I don't understand. Look, him not being good at right field, that's not what he does. His job is to be like a Tommy La Stella for this team. And I think he's pretty good at that. And I really like his ABs. He slaps the ball around. And
an interesting comp.
Yeah. And when we talk about the roster moves, I'll tell you what I think should happen. But I don't think he's a guy you just get rid of. I like his ABs at the plate. I mean, Luis Castillo is a tough customer, man.
Right.
And he looked really sharp against them. And he's just as tough on lefties as he is righties, because he's got a nasty changeup, and he looked great. So shout out to those guys. I was in a really bad mood before this game because of the roster moves and some of the things that, not that I didn't agree with what happened today, but just in hindsight, how Terens is on this team,
how they open the year.
Exactly. And we're going to get to that. And this really got me jacked, man. This is a big win, okay? And don't get complacent. Go out there tomorrow and win another series against these AL West. I'm tired of playing these guys already.
Yeah, then you have Stroman Wednesday. So winning the first game is just so pivotal. Did I really enjoy the 4th inning? Ian Happ had a great at-bat to lead off.
What an at-bat by Happ.
He draws a walk. He steals second, and then Bellinger drives him in with the double. And it's similar in a way to Mastro, even though Bellinger obviously has a much higher ceiling. Mm-hmm. But the Bellinger average right now, I shrug my shoulders a little bit. His at-bats and his hard contact, cool.
I've been saying it
and he got rewarded tonight there. And then after the Bellinger hit, Mancini singles, first and third, no outs. Hosmer oppo single. He ended the night with 2 hits. Wisdom K's, and then we already discussed Gomes hits a scorcher. Unfortunately, lines into a double play. Bad luck all night. Hard contact outs. And Alzolay and Leiter were solid to follow Smiley. Despite Boxberger and Fulmer struggling in their innings in the 8th and 9th, respectively, I thought Alzolay and Leiter and switching from Alzolay to Leiter was a good move by Ross.
Very good.
But a 4th inning that really jump started, me as a fan, got into deep counts against Castillo, and they beat a good team with their number 1 pitcher, and the Cubs had their 4 or 5 going. And if Drew Smiley could get through 5 like that, which is not realistic, but if he can do that for 5 innings and he only threw 75 pitches, that's really all he needs to do. He's not someone that needs to pitch in the 6th or the 7th. And so I thought he really set the tone, and the offense eventually caught up to him.
No, this is it. I mean, it was a beautiful inning.
Huge.
It was a beautiful inning. I agree with you on Bellinger. I've been saying it since the first weekend.
Yeah, you have.
And his defense has been better than I expected it to be. Mancini, we finally got a little bit of a break. We had a blooper fall in. Got to mention that.
Right.
And Eric Hosmer against Luis Castillo is the greatest hitter in the history of baseball.
He's a video game.
He's now 12 of 18 against him.
That's funny.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's where you own the pitcher.
And
own him.
And Eric Hosmer's been tremendous so far.
He has.
And look, I didn't love the signing. I've switched. If you watch yesterday's episode, or today's episode, technically, Monday's episode.
Right.
I've kind of switched. How I felt about Hosmer is now how I feel about Mancini. Whichever one of those guys isn't hitting, shouldn't be taking away ABs from other guys. But can I ask you one question before we talk about the roster? Why does Eric Hosmer need days off on his feet? Like, why isn't Hosmer playing first base every day? Like, Mancini was in there today.
Yeah. Well, I would love to know that information.
I get he can't play all 162. I'm not saying that, but it's early in the year. This is either the 2nd or 3rd game Mancini's played first.
Yeah, it might be just a tad preservation on his feet, maybe.
Yeah. This guy's a 4-time Gold Glover over there. A
lot of hardware for sure. No, it was great. Great to see that.
Just real quick on this. Look, I look. We could be stingy on something like this, Jason.
That's a great word choice. Sam.
That's really stingy. First of all,
I don't like that.
No, I have no idea if he had the. I don't know if Ross told him to do that or not. But that's one of those situations. Stealing third. I'm not going to come. I can't come on the show and say, "Hey, that was a bad move after we won the game."
How is that even possible?
Yeah.
He was playing the game at that time. He played the game.
I can't subscribe to that.
No.
But what I can't subscribe to is talking about some weird roster stuff.
No, I'm going to unfollow on that comment. Coming up next, we get into a Seiya Suzuki update, which then we'll dive into the roster moves. Before Monday's action, what are they going to do when Seiya returns? Also, Brandon Hughes might be on the verge of coming back. What is this shuffling going to mean for the Northsiders? We get to that coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook in America. And new customers right now can step up to the plate with the no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up, place your first bet, and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. Whether that's grand slams, no-hitters, double plays, there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel. Don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Locked On Cubs. And welcome back to Locked On Cubs, live post-game show edition. We are recording here on a Monday evening. If you're in your ears, you could also join us there after games during the season. And we still plan to go live after Tuesday's game, Wisniewski versus Flexen at Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field was very bright tonight, by the way. Wouldn't have known by watching Marquee. Manager David Ross said before Monday's game, the best case scenario for Seiya Suzuki is that he returns on the West Coast trip.
Oh, man.
That trip begins Friday at the Dodgers. The Cubs also have a 3-game set against the A's out west. Suzuki will likely play for AAA Iowa again on Tuesday, so we'll see where that goes. And before Monday's game, the Cubs did make a roster move anyways, as Javier Assad was sent down to AAA and Nelson Velazquez was recalled. The Cubs now have 14 position players and 12 pitchers. A lot of different configurations and possibilities here, Sam. Where would you like to start?
I'd like to start by and again, I'm not trying to poo-poo on what was a tremendous night, but I would just like to start by saying the Cubs got their opening day roster wrong. They did, okay? I thought,
even if it was 8 games, it just wasn't right.
I thought, so here's my thought process. When Luis Torrens made the team, I thought that pretty much was a guarantee that Mastro and Mancini were competent in right field. And maybe Mastro is, maybe he's not. It's a short sample, but Mancini's not. But here's the problem with it. With how little they've used Torrens, right? And by the way, in his defense, outside of getting picked off in a 6-run game, he's hit fine against lefties. He's looked the part, but he's been used so briefly. Was that really worth not just nipping in the butt a good solid right fielder so you didn't have to deal with that the first 12, 15 games? The answer is no, it wasn't worth it. And they got that wrong. And then the Assad thing's just weird to me. He went from pitching the most high leverage inning we've had so far this season coming into Monday night, which was 1-0, gets the 7th and the 8th at home against Milwaukee. And like Bryce pointed out when we went live that day, you had everybody available. You had Keegan, because you had that day. You had that day off. You had Keegan, you had Boxberg or whatever. And a week later, he's back down in AAA. So just feels like they kind of just misevaluated those guys, or and what they could do. I don't really understand the Velazquez thing, because unless they're planning on keeping him here a while, it feels like once Seiya comes out, and Ross said today he's going to be back sometime during the West Coast trip. So when Seiya comes back, you'd think he'd go back down. So maybe they're just trying to do him a favor, rewarding him for hitting really well and giving him a short stint. I think he gets like a little bump in pay for that, unless they have, because when Seiya comes back, Torrens is going to go. We would think. But then when Hughes comes back, you can't put down another pitcher. So another position player
would be another position player. Yeah, you're right.
So it's either going to be Velazquez or Mastro, and I don't think it's going to be Mastro. Velazquez has options left. They've talked about how they want to get him stuff every day, at bats every day. So we'll see. But it's clear by making that substitution tonight, I think Jed Hoyer'd seen enough with these makeshift right fielders.
He had seen enough. I'm glad that he did, even though it was 8 games in. Velazquez was up last year in a part-time role, so I think he could do that now too. I just think that he's a piece where you can play him part-time. He is solid in right, could also play left and center. He was off to a great start at Iowa, 12 for 33 with 3 homers. Yeah. The update on Morel is he's going to stay there. Hoyer went on the record over the weekend saying he needs to be a starter. So the only way that's going to happen now is with the Cubs. Yeah. We'll, of course, do a fuller minor league report later in the week. I don't know if this sounds harsh. I guess I don't really care. Yeah. But I don't. Torrens not having options doesn't matter to me.
No.
I think that given that 2 position players would need to be sent out, he's got to be one of them.
Oh no, he will be. That's and it's like you're not saying anything rude to Torrens. He's come in here, he's done his job. It's the way they've used him the Cubs don't need a third catcher to just be DH versus lefties when Seiya Suzuki comes back. They just don't. It's not his person. There's a need for him around the league. He'll get picked up. Right. It just doesn't make sense. The one thing I want to talk about that you said, and I want to be clear, I'm not correcting you, but this is something in general I don't want to do anymore on this show, and I'm tired of other people saying it too. Just because a player can play a position doesn't mean they should. Nelson Velazquez should not play center field for the Cubs. He's a corner outfielder. I think that's where the Cubs got in trouble, Matt, because, yeah, Mastro can play right. Yeah, Mancini can play right. Newsflash, everybody. I can play a little right field. I can make the basic plays. Should I be in the big league? Absolutely not. You want somebody that can play right field at a big league competent level, which Velazquez can, obviously. But I'm just saying,
he made a nice catch today.
No, my point is because you said, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, he can fit in here, can in there. Sometimes
occasionally,
sometimes these versatile guys get you in trouble because it's like, well, he can play all over the diamond. Newsflash: Dansby Swanson can play right field.
And Sam, does Rios go to Iowa?
No.
But he only has 10 plate appearances.
No, because they're using him poorly. Rios is going to hit a ball off of Flexen tomorrow that might hit a guy riding his bike down Kenmore Avenue.
I'm glad that wasn't scripted.
No. Rios stays. Look at this. Look at this comment.
Oh, that's hyper local.
This is
too big of a show to put that up.
I'm just saying, I could play a little right.
No offense, Nick.
I don't think
over 200 people here, by the way. This is amazing.
I think my guess is Velazquez and Torrens go.
Okay.
That'd be my guess.
Well, that's kind of a shame. Velazquez only a few days.
No, but I don't think it's like I think that he's been told that, I'm sure. Like
right.
He's matching right now, and there will be a spot for him soon if he keeps hitting like this, but let him develop right now. And then if something happens, God forbid, to one of these outfielders, right, then you bring him up. He should have started the year with the team. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you prioritize his development over the big league team when they need an outfielder. But when you have all three guys, would you rather Velazquez just sit and be a fourth outfielder or play every day? Because Suzuki's outstanding. I think Suzuki has the potential to be outstanding there. Rios is what he is at this point. He needs to be. People are loving the right field comment, by the way.
I'm not surprised.
The Rios needs to play more and get a chance. Sending him to AAA would be malpractice.
Yeah, and the Velazquez thing, he was in he could have done the part-time thing for these first dozen games.
Exactly.
Whatever it is.
And he should have.
And now it might only be 3. So, shout out to my freshman baseball team. Will this get a reaction?
Oh, wow.
Since we're going local here.
Yeah.
10-0.
Can I say one? Congratulations.
You're our 10th straight tonight.
No, you're a quality coach. Can I just say one thing on Velazquez? People, because I see people in the comments.
The best record in the country if it wasn't for the Rays.
Nobody is saying, like, to me, we're all assuming Torrens goes. You have to compare it. So it's like, if it's not Velazquez, who is it? I don't think it's Rios, and I don't think it should be Mastro. Mastro is who he is.
And it's not going to be magical, right?
Nah, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. That not with the way they defend at third. I don't think so. But again, this is what I would do. I'm not David Ross or Jed Hoyer. Listen, we did roster projections for 85 straight years. Now one of them had Luis Torrens on it.
No, or Rucker.
But one thing we did always talk about on this show is we couldn't believe that they were going to go into the season with no outfielders.
That was weird,
and it burned them.
I had Darius Hill on one of the projections.
No, yeah, you projected everybody. I mean, you had Andre Dawson in one of them.
Yeah.
you had
I had Jeremy Burnitz at one point.
No, you wanted Billy Williams because he looks like he could still swing it a bit.
Yeah, no, he's got quick hands, I think.
By the way, folks, if you wanted a little entertainment, go look at Billy Williams' baseball reference page. What an underrated pure hitter. I mean, that guy could really swing it.
I would say one of the best lefty sticks in the history of this sport.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely one of the best hitters that this franchise has ever seen.
All right. Coming up next, we wrap up just previewing the second game of this series, Cubs-Mariners. That's going to be Wisniewski v. Flexen, and we get to that coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by our new sponsor, So Rare. John Paul Morosi of MLB Network just signed on with So Rare. MLB All-Stars Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez are there as well. So Rare is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace, transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards, and there's no cost to play. Head to sorare.com/lockedon. That's spelled SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/lockedon to start playing. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs. Thank you so much for being with us, including the 200 plus live. This is Locked On Cubs.
And we didn't even plan it.
Not planned. 2 Mondays in a row, this time for much better circumstances.
Yes.
All right. So we are going live after Tuesday's game. That was already planned. We announced that this afternoon. First impressions of what Tuesday's contest is going to be like, because you could win the series now.
Very winnable game. Flexen's a nice pitcher. Not that much different than like a righty Smiley, but he's not going to overpower you. He's not going to strike you out that much. He is, if I were ranking the Mariners starters off the top of my head, keep in mind that Robbie Ray is on the injured list, but it would be the gentleman that we face tonight, Luis Castillo, Robbie Ray, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, and then Flexen. Unless I'm missing somebody obvious, Flexen would be their number 5 when they're healthy.
Definitely, yeah.
Unless he's the fill-in for the other guy. I think
because you have Gilbert and Kirby in there. Flexen's for sure number 5.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying because he might even be less because Robbie Ray's
hurt.
I'm not sure. I don't know the Mariners that well. I don't know who replaced him.
I wonder why he's following Castillo. It's not.
But he's either
business,
5 or who knows? Yeah. Well, I know they wanted because only knows because of fantasy. They wanted to limit George Kirby's innings, so he was their 5th starter in theory to start the year.
Okay,
but he's one of their 2nd or 3rd best guys.
Got it.
But yeah. Very winnable game. Hoping for a Wisniewski bounce back. Not that he was terrible in his first start. He's juiced up. He'll be ready to go. Will be interesting to see. The Mariners looking at their lineup because they sat a lot of guys today versus Smiley. They're going to have a lot of lefties. They have a lot. Like Kalenic's going to play. Cal Raleigh's going to play. Colton Wong's going to play.
Sure.
So they're going to have a lot of lefties. So we'll see how he works against those. See if he can get the sweeper, backdoor, good command, rely on his stuff, and it's a very winnable. These next 2 games are very winnable.
Yes, Wednesday for sure. I mean, and tomorrow because the opposition pitching, but
tomorrow's a Rios game. He'll be in the lineup for sure, and he should hit a ball. He should hit a ball that lands in the pond that I'm looking at in my backyard.
Good. Yes, everybody hit the like button, and we are single digits away from 3,000 subs.
Would you call that a milestone?
Yeah. And we're also close to 200 episodes since we took over on July 5th.
3,000 hits. Nobody gets there anymore. It might just be Altuve's the only guy left. Nobody will reach that mark because everyone just tries to hit homers and walk.
Right. Yeah, and I don't understand. And those are the 2 plays that you can't play defense against, but it's just
Nico Hoerner has a nice profile to reach 3,000. Stay healthy, Nico.
Right. But yeah, I mean, there was even questions today, Sam, in the comments of the Monday episode. Oh, well, what's going to happen when Hendricks returns? It's a little early for me for that. We're not even 2 times through the rotation. I don't know who's going to who knows?
The answer to those questions are always usually you never have too much of a good thing. They'll work itself out. I remember when all the stud core guys, it was like, well, they got too many position players. What?
What is that? Yeah, that's not possible.
They'll figure it out. Who knows what their plan is with Hendricks and, just a couple of things, just one real quick thing on the game today. Lawrence just reminded me of it. I just lost the comment, but here it is. Just want to put this up here.
Yeah, please.
Dansby Swanson goes 0 for 4 today, still had a huge impact on the game.
Huge.
I mean,
so much fun to watch.
Defensively, somebody tweeted at me today and said, is he the greatest defensive shortstop you've seen wear a Cubs uniform? And my answer was, well, we're 8-9 games in. I'm not going to disrespect Russell and Baez like that.
Sure.
But man, does he look, does he look like he can play this position at the highest level? And he makes it look so easy without having any crazy features. He doesn't have a cannon of an arm.
Are you okay over there? Oh my gosh, you're jumping off the screen.
No, he doesn't have a cannon of an arm.
Uh-huh.
And he doesn't
the cannon of the arm part.
He doesn't have crazy speed or range, but he just makes it work beautifully, and it's an honor.
He knows his range, right?
No, it's just an honor. It's an honor to watch him play that position.
It's an honor. You might even say a privilege.
Yeah, no, it's
who
really
makes a 6-5 play like that?
Oh,
that's wild.
That's high baseball IQ and poor base running.
That's true. That's true.
No, plays right there. You know where the guy.
Perhaps the best free agent shortstop signing of the offseason.
Whoa. Mateo Machado.
We'll see how it plays
maybe
out.
you just teased an episode for us in 2 or 3 weeks. Although Bogarts has been hitting the baseball well.
That's true. All right, we'll be back live after Tuesday's game. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for Locked On Cubs and smash the like button on your way out, or if you're listening or re-listening on demand, smash it as well. Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. And you can drop us a text, 312-834-4634. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Now make your second. Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Listen to Matt and Dom as they bring you the best fantasy strategies all season over at Locked On Fantasy Baseball. What a fun evening this has been. Big Cubs win, 3-2 in extras to improve to 5-4 on the season. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.